50 years ago, 1967. Boy, I'm celebrating this 50-year anniversary of me being able to leave out of Jack Gates High School as we continue on with part four, and it's finna get excited. And it was exciting. Yes, it was exciting. I became to be a disc jockey at the radio station, and it was so much excitement. Like I said, it have been a real roller coaster ride for me in this last 50 years. Like I said, I had four different careers. First career I had was a store manager at 7-Eleven, and the next career I had was being in route sales from the soda water company to the bread company. And then another career took off because at the end of the 70s and at the end of the 80s, route sales was beginning to be able to, companies such as Sunbeam, Miss Berry's, and the bread companies, they are going distributorship. They're not owned by the company anymore. That's when they started it, and that's when I started another career and got out of the bread business, and I got into selling cars. That was some excitement times. Boy, it have been some excitement roller coaster ride. And selling cars, it was fun. But right now, we're going back to the 70s. And it was a good situation to be in, to be able to work at Rainbow during the daytime, and at night be able to come to work right here at KYOK at night. Because a lot of time Boogaloo George would take off, and Rick would want me to come in and work for Boogaloo, which I was a part-time disc jockey. But it was some excitement time right there on LaBranch, 3001 LaBranch. And I will go into that, into another part of the Boo Lee leaving Jack Gates 50 years ago. But right now, we're going right into the bread business. And from South Union, I met a man named Michael Thompson. He was a little kid going to Whitby School. I had an excitement career at Rainbow in South Union, and it took off so good that after the tragedy of my mother in '71, then I got back into radio. I got into radio. And I was doing radio when I was working at Frito-Lay. I was working part-time. And then by the time I got to work at Rainbow again on the north side, I was working at KYOK. And it was such an excitement time to be there. Man, that was some of the excitement time. Like I made that video on me on the north side. It was excitement because I would go to them stores and people said, I heard you on the radio last night. I would dedicate records out to Lord and a key drive-in grocery store that I would send records out to them because I know during them days we didn't have but one black radio station stayed open 24 hours a day. It wasn't no FM radio. It was only AM radio. And being a bread man, I would give records away that we would have at KYOK. They get ready to get thrown away. Then I would give honey buns away. Oh man, I was the top spot of the dial out there on the north side. They didn't know what was they getting, whether or not they were gonna get records or whether they were gonna get honey buns. But it was an excitement time, and it really made me feel comfortable out there on the north side. And then after I got out of the grocery store business in the 80s, that's when things really beginning to take another toll. When I say another toll, it was getting to be that I was getting out of the bread business, and I was getting into something that no other black had never experienced. That was being a salesman for Blue Ribbon Sausage Company. And man, I did something that I didn't think I could do. When I first went to Blue Ribbon Sausage Company, Franklin Roth, the owner of Blue Ribbon Sausage Company. He told me, he said, hey, Robert, and by this time, Bobby came alive. This is when Bobby Williams came in and Robert Williams stepped out, which is still Boo Lee. But then now on the radio station, I was Bobby Boo Lee Williams. And everybody addressed me as Bobby. And those that didn't address me as Bobby, they addressed me as Boo Lee. So anyway, when I went to work at Blue Ribbon Sausage, the guy told me, the owner, he said, you know what? I know you good, but you know what? You sharp. But only thing I'm gonna do, Bobby, is polish you up. And I didn't understand what Franklin meant. And that's when I started selling sausage, the first black to ever sell sausage for any sausage company. And it was a trip. It was excitement because I didn't understand what I was doing now, other than learning something about meat, because that's why I closed my grocery store, because it was a supermarket. It sold meat. It wasn't a drive-in. That's why I didn't last, because I'm used to being in a drive-in. I knew nothing about meat. And when I got into Franklin, and sure enough, man, I thought the Jewish guy was going crazy, because the first place he sent me at was out there in Pasadena. Man, right across the street from the Ku Klux Klan house was a Lewis and Crocker store. And there was a wine garden store out there on Red Bluff. And there was a Kroger over there in Southmore. So I'd never been around a completely racist area before. So I didn't know how I was going to retaliate. And I can tell you now, it was the best excitement time of my life, huh? You know, because I found out that I can get along with anybody. And when I went out there, I was nervous. And I went into a Kroger store. And see, when you, as a salesman, you dress in your own clothes. And you dress for success. And when I went out there, I had my silk shirt on, and I had a coat that we have to do because we got to go in the cooler. And cooler is the refrigeration part, so we need a coat, which is a white coat that they wear in the meat department. And I went in there, and the Kroger, and the guy named was Bob, and he was eating. And he told me, he said, they looked at me at funny. And man, it ain't a black going down Southmore. No less than a black shopping in the Kroger. And he told me, he said, what you want? I said, well, I'm the Blue Ribbon Sausage, Bob. He said, well, look, I'm eating that, and if you ain't got time, you can just get your stuff and get out of here. I don't need nothing. So, you know, and he had all them white people around him. They was eating lunch. And I told him, at first, I didn't know what to say, because I was kind of nervous. And I told him, I said, well, look here, Bob. And I said to myself, what should I do? And I said, I'm going to try some of that Richard Pryor stuff and see if this stuff really works. So I told him, I said, well, look at here, Bob. This is what the deal is. I closed my book down. I looked at him. I said, look, this is what the deal is. I looked him right in the face. I said, now, you can deal with me, but you know I'm a black man. You can deal with another black man. I don't know. He might be a damn fool coming out here. Because, you know, it's just like that commercial on TV, man. Us black folks, we ain't going no goddamn well. We here to stay, bro. And they just fell out laughing. Oh, man, that was he said, hey, man, I like you. Leave whatever you want to leave. Now, get one of them boys to check you in and tell them I said it's okay. So it was an excitement time, man. It was every day I had jokes, man. Every day I felt like I was Richard Pryor going out there. You know, I went out there to a wine garden store. The guy named was Richard. He said, man, you late? I ain't taking no goddamn sausage. get this. I told Franklin, that's who owned the company. I told him if you couldn't get in on goddamn time, I don't need the damn product. And I told him, I say, well, look, Richard, this is the deal, bro. Now, you know Franklin, who owned the company, he's a Jew. So you know the truck out there belongs to a Jew. And you know I'm a black man. And then I go take the Jew truck, being a black man, and do an illegal turn at the Ku Klux Klan bookstore that they had on Red Bluff. Say, man, now you know damn well what the rednecks and the white folk would do to me out there if they seen me and caught my butt out there doing an illegal turn in a Jewish truck. And being a black man, I did all that goddamn it to come out here and sell you some sausage, Richard. And this the way you gonna treat me, man? Now you know I got to get out of this neighborhood before dark. You know y'all kill black people and say, you know how it go. The black man shot himself in the back with a rifle. And it's, you know, and I don't want to be that statistic, Richard. So go on, let me leave this damn sausage, man. He say, man, you crazy as hell. Bobby, go on, leave the damn sausage, man. I'm going to tell Franklin, goddamn, you the craziest goddamn sausage man I ever had. Go on, leave what you want. So it was excitement going out there. And being the only black salesman, and we only had 6, it got to where that I was so good working for Blue Ribbon. Franklin would let me train other white guys that he would hire at Blue Ribbon. And being at Blue Ribbon and being the only black salesman and being in the area, I gave away all kinds of sausage. Oh, man. When I went in a black neighborhood, such like where I had to go out there and service Lord out there on the north side, man, I'm giving sausage, all them little bag sausage, beef sausage, I'm giving them to people because these things are sausage that's not going out of date, but the vacuum has busted on them, and therefore we can't sell them in the store. And I was giving all this stuff away. I mean, no matter. And then when I went out to Sunnyside, I would give it away. And I would have Sunnyside and South Park together. I'd give all that stuff away, especially stuff that I pick up out the store that was looking bad, that ain't bad for a person to eat, but it didn't look good to me trying to put out there on the shelf. Plus, I didn't have to pay for it. So it was a real good time for me doing the sausage business and being the only black. And I really made a mistake by leaving Franklin and going out there to Rainer Sausage, because a lot of Blue Ribbon guys, white guys, wanted me to come out there and follow them. And I left Blue Ribbon and started selling Rainer. Rainer Sausage is those Texas Hot sausage. And they did a lot of sales in the black area because they used to have, they still got them little box sausage where you get like 3 pounds for like $4 or $5. You know, all that was, you know, it wasn't the quality sausage that Blue Ribbon had. But it was a real exciting time to make nothing but supermarkets, no drive-ins, supermarkets only. And the only ones we had was Kroger, Weingarten, Safeway had just came in, and Kroger, and those was and Gerlins, and being able to, Franklin, being able to let me go all around the city of Houston to run routes, because I was like a supervisor. Because any of these guys take off from work, I had to pull their routes. So they went on vacation, I had to pull their routes. I pulled routes all out there in Galveston, Micheletti. I pulled routes all out there in Angleton, Ricks. I pulled routes all out there in Freeport, which was Dollar General. They had Dollar General during them days, back out there in Freeport. In Lake Jackson, Safeway stores out there. We did all the Safeway stores. We did all the Kroger stores. I pulled routes all the way up to Bryant and College Station and started at Huntsville. I was the Mr. Blue Ribbon man. And I was not only the only black that Blue Ribbon had, but I was the only black any of them sausage company had.